right after this, and a talk with a princess from a former part of the Soviet Empire.
Reed Galen looks behind the headlines at one of them. When the United States declared independence in 1776, the Croatian city-state of Dubrovnik was the first country to recognize it. Now some people want the favor returned as a bloody war goes on.
There was a recent demonstration, perhaps 150 people, pushing the U.S. to recognize Croatia's independence from Yugoslavia. Ours was the only news camera that showed up. It's hard to see why there haven't been more headlines about the war between Croatia and the Serbian Federal Army, considering that there hasn't been fighting like this in Europe since the Second World War. Our focus here is the conflict and its relationship to one of the faces in that crowd of demonstrators.
I feel very angry. What's happening there is inhuman.
She is, she says, Princess Susan Radic of the old Croatian royal family.
The people that know I'm alive do view me as Princess of Croatia and rightful heir to the throne.
She was born in the U.S., but feels like an exile, trying to help her people now the only way she can.
By coming out in the open, even though my life is threatened, and speaking up on behalf of the Croatian people.
It was her grandfather, she says, who fled the family's ancestral lands as an enemy of the Nazis. By then, Croatia had already been absorbed into the Yugoslavian state. Hundreds of thousands had died in ethnic warfare as 6 regional republics were tied into one knot. After the war, the communist dictator Tito held an iron lock on the country from his capital in the Republic of Serbia. And the Croatian royals moved constantly around the world, afraid they would be assassinated for the old independence they represented.
I feel like a living dinosaur, walking piece of old history that nobody really knows about.
As communism peacefully dissolved elsewhere, and the Baltics and other republics began to regain their sovereignty from crumbling centralized powers, Croatia sought the same, declaring independence from Yugoslavia last June. But here, there would be no restraint. When Western nations did not recognize Croatia, the Serbian-dominated Federal Army invaded, refusing to give up Yugoslavia's most prized territory, ports and historic cities. Now those cities are being destroyed. Innocents have been massacred. There have been many atrocities, charges on both sides. The old ethnic hatred flows.
If I find the one who killed my son, if I can catch him, if I'm strong enough, one day I'll make him pay, no matter how long it takes.
It's not a private civil war. People here today have many family members that have died over the last few months just because United States and many of the European countries have not recognized Croatia.
You write to the State Department to...
I hope that President Bush will hear the cries of my people.
Princess Susan has repeatedly written the president and other world leaders. She says she is the last of the royal family who is speaking out.
Do you feel that your relatives then have forsaken their heritage, their homeland?
I know they have.
That must be very disturbing.
It's very painful.
Why has that happened?
Fear, I think, mostly. Fear and just giving up. But I'm a fighter. I'm not going to give up.
Anywhere from 5,000 to 20,000 people have died in the fighting. While UN ceasefires have been routinely shot to pieces, the UN will not send peacekeeping forces because Yugoslavia is still officially a member. The U.S. embargoed aid to Yugoslavia, which seems only to have hurt the Croats. The Federal Army has long been well supplied. This week, the European community said it will finally recognize Croatia and other Yugoslavian republics which have avoided such bloodshed, but not until the middle of January. Princess Susan and the other demonstrators wonder what will be left. In a better world, she says, her royalty would be only ceremonial. Certainly now it is more a responsibility than a privilege.
It's been a painful life, yes, to know what you are and who you are and not be able to talk about it or live it and help these people from being massacred.
Without a lot of independent journalists reporting from Croatia, it's hard to know sometimes exactly what is going on. But we get an idea from a hospital official there. describing what he sees as the international community moves slowly. His quote about the bodies he has seen: "It takes an unlimited imagination to find that many ways to kill a man." I'm Reed Galen.
There are fears that the fighting could spread to other republics that are also seeking recognition, and the situation is also becoming an economic disaster as shortages become more dramatic.